If I lost everything today, here's how I get back to 10k a month with Airbnb Rent2Rent. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact steps I'd take to make around 10k a month with Rent2Rent in 2026 if I had to start again from zero. No inherited properties, no loopholes, and no just list it on Airbnb and hope nonsense. I'm Leon, co-founder of LLB Property Academy, and we work with mid-career professionals and parents who have one-shot at this, 5 to 10k to deploy, limited time, and zero interest in anything sketchy. Everything I'm about to share is built on what actually works right now in a tighter, more regulated market. Consented deals, extended stay demands, realistic margins, and a system that runs alongside your 9 to 5 and family life. First, let's frame this properly, because online there's a lot of noise and fantasy numbers. When I say 10k a month, I'm talking profit. Profit after rent, bills, cleaning, linen, software, license, insurance, tax, planning, all of that. Not revenue screenshots, not turnover without context, actual money left over at the end of the month. And in 2025, the landscape has changed. You've got more regulation, more reporting, local licensing schemes, registration requirements, and councils and platforms that are far more involved. The cowboys are getting washed out. Serious operators with proper consent, proper guest types, proper systems, we're the ones who stay. And the market has shifted. 28 plus day stays, relocations, contractors, families between moves, these are all becoming the backbone of stable income. That's good news, because they're predictable and far less volatile than trying to rely on party weekends or seasonal tourism. And the expectation needs to be clear. This is not a 30-day miracle. This is a 9 to 18 month plan for a serious adult who wants to build something real alongside work and family. If I lost everything and had to start again, here's exactly what I'd run. A consent-based rent-to-rent service accommodation model aimed solely at longer stays, targeting responsible guests like contractors, relocations, corporate workers, families that are between moves, medical staff, and professionals. Why? Because they deliver consistent occupancy, they align with the 28 plus day trend, and they drastically reduce your regulatory exposure. Weekend party traffic is where most operators get complaints, neighbours involved, councils involved, and licenses triggered. And honestly, if you've got kids, a partner, and a career to juggle, you don't want a business built on roulette. You want predictable demand in boring but beautiful markets. That is the sweet spot. So, where do you actually operate? Well, I wouldn't chase hype cities or TikTok trends. I'd follow a simple decision framework: strong rental demand and basic infrastructure, clear or manageable rules around short-term lets, rent versus achievable average daily rent, as that leaves a real margin after all costs. Landlords and agents who are actually open-minded and not allergic to the model. If a location fails that test, I wouldn't bend the rules to force it. I'd pick a nearby market that passes, and I'd start with 1 or 2 solid working areas, not 5 random experiments. Depth over scatter wins every single time. So let's talk about numbers. A healthy target for most units today is around £700 to £1,500 profit per month after absolutely everything. So to hit around 10k a month, you're typically looking at either 7 to 10 units doing around 1,000 each, or 4 to 6 stronger units in the right market with the right guests. And those numbers come from conservative predictions. You need to model your occupancy around 65 to 70% on average, not a fantasy 95%. You've got to include the full set of costs: rent, utilities, Wi-Fi, cleaning, laundry, platform fees, licenses, insurance, repairs, software, tax, everything. Because here is the truth. If the deal only works at 90% occupancy, it's not a deal. Inside our mentorship, our calculators and compliance framework back this up. But even if you're doing it solo, Ground your maths in reality. Most people blow their first 5 to 10k on the wrong things. Here's what I'd actually do. So my non-negotiables before spending any money are: research the area and the occupancy. Find out what type of guests make up that occupancy so your property can be targeted at them. Get basic but durable furnishings. Don't waste money on designer stuff. Just make sure it's guest ready, and have a core tech stack. You need a channel manager, dynamic pricing, cleaner scheduler. All of that is going to really automate operations for you. I wouldn't just sign 3 to 5 units in an area with no proof of demand. Your money should be going into assets and systems, not expensive hype. And the first deal is where most beginners go wrong. My approach has always been full transparency, written consent, proper contracts, and no grey areas. And the pitch is simple: guaranteed rent. You're going to keep that property in show home condition, and it's getting professionally managed at no extra charge to them. That is literally the backbone of what we teach in our mentorship at LLB Property Academy. Ethical, documented, legal deals. If you've got a job, kids, or like me when I started out, both, systemizing is not optional. My must-haves would be automated messaging, dynamic pricing, and most importantly, you must have a channel manager, one that can communicate with the cleaners, handle all of your bookings in one place to avoid you getting the dreaded double bookings. Because if you're still manually going onto each OTA to check if it's got a booking to block it off on another one at midnight while the kids are asleep, the business is going to collapse. Systemizing is not an upgrade, it is step one. And once the first unit works, the sky is the limit. The first 2 units is where you prove the model, refine operations, and refine your guest avatar. Units 3 and 4 is where you're going to duplicate what's working in the same or an adjacent micro market. You should only scale past 5 units once you have documented processes, consistent profit, and you've got 0 compliance breaches because you've learned what you're doing. Because here's the reality: 10k a month is just a byproduct of making good, logical, informed decisions. If you're still watching, you are probably the person that this video was for. The one who's done the research, hates hype, and just wants a clean, legal plan to replace a chunk of your income. This is the exact framework I would use to get back to 10k a month in 2026 if I had to start again. Pick the right market, secure consented deals, make sure all compliance is taken care of, and most importantly, systemize it from day one. If you want help pressure testing your numbers, structuring your offers to landlords, and building this alongside your 9 to 5 and family, that is what we do inside LLB Property Academy. But even if you never even speak to us, please don't sign anything that only works on fantasy maths or ignores local rules.